Welcome to something to talk about. Really loud. Welcome to something to talk about.
Hi, welcome to something to talk about. My name is Taco, and little warning, I think it's storming out, so if you hear anything that sounds like storming, that's what it is. Welcome to something to talk about, and this is what I do here. This is what's going on. Go ahead, pause it, read it. We're talking about Aegon the Uncrowned. Heck yeah, I've been wanting to cover this character for a very long time, and I'm finally going to. Been doing a couple Fire and Blood characters lately. I'm down. I'm down. So yeah, you guys ready? You guys want to cover an Aegon? I think this is our first Aegon. Yeah. Yep, it is. Well, I've never covered any kings, and yeah, so it limits me to Aegons. There are a couple non-king Aegons, but not much that like last that long. Jesus. That sounds really bad. All right, let's just talk. Aegon Targaryen. Yeah. Aegon the Uncrowned. Aegon the Not. Aegon almost the second. Prince Aegon Targaryen was a member of House Targaryen, and he was the second child and eldest son and heir of King Aenys the First Targaryen and Queen Alyssa Velaryon. Yeah, because Rhaena is actually older. And then Aegon's the second, right? So Alyssa Velaryon is his mom, which we'll get to. And yeah, Aenys, as in Aegon the Conqueror, 2 wives, right? Visenya, Rhaenys, and then the eldest son was with Rhaenys, and that is Aenys. And then the second son that he had was with Rhaenyra, and that is Maegor. We will be talking about all of those characters, except for Rhaenys. Sadly. Aegon at 15 was lean and handsome and caught the eye of many maiden, and Aegon was not indifferent to their charms. Does that mean he's looked around? I think that's what that means. Some said that he was the very image of his grandsire at the same age, and he served 3 years as a squire, greatly improved his martial skills with sword and axe, and was widely regarded as the best young lance in the realm. Dude was a fighter. That's important later on. Dude actually didn't know how to fight. Aegon. Yeah, Aegon. All right. You guys can go ahead and move past this one. You can skip until you don't see it. If you've heard me say this one, it's one of my longer houses, but I do like to cover houses. But most people know who House Targaryen is, so I'll just read it really fast. Skip by if you don't want to. House Targaryen of King's Landing is a noble family of Valyrian descent who once ruled the 7 kingdoms of Westeros. The Targaryen sigil is a 3-headed dragon breathing red flames on black. The house words are fire and blood. The only family of dragon lords who survived the doom of Valyria, the Targaryens left the Valyrian freehold 12 years before the doom. They resided more than a century on Dragonstone until Aegon the Conqueror and his sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys began the first of the Wars of Conquest in 2 BC. During Aegon's conquest, the family built Aegon Fort, in the new capital city of King's Landing. The Aegon Fort was later torn down and replaced by the Red Keep, which remained their main seat for the duration of the dynasty. The house and which housed the Iron Throne. House Targaryen ruled as kings of Andals the Reiner and the First Men, lords of the 7 Kingdom and the Great House of the Crownlands for nearly 300 years. Yeah, we're not going 300 years into it. We're only going a few years into it. In fact, the Red Keep isn't even fully made yet. It is mostly made at this point, but it isn't. It's not completed. That doesn't happen until after this video, actually. After this video is done, we're finally going to make the Red Keep. No, I mean, chronologically, in the timeline that we're at, it won't be made until after this video. You guys know what I'm saying. All right. The Prince. Aegon was born in 26 AC to Prince Aenys Targaryen and Lady Alyssa Velaryon. He was present on Dragonstone with his younger brother, Prince Viserys, where their grandfather King Aegon I was telling them stories of his conquest. Aegon the Conqueror suffered a stroke and later died there in peace in 37 AC. So this would have been 11 years. So he's born. So when Aegon, not the Conqueror, was 11, the Conqueror was telling them tales and has a stroke and dies. Is that kind of like Godfather-y? Right? He's like playing with his son, puts an orange in his mouth, or playing with his grandson, puts an orange in his mouth, and then has a stroke. Wait, did Aegon put an orange in his mouth? And that's how he... Was it a lemon? Is it lemon? Is there lemons in Dragonstone? Is this Lemon Gate? Somebody call somebody. No, probably none of that. Never mind. Sorry, I'm just freaking out. In 41 AC, so a couple of years later, during the reign of his father Aenys the First, Aegon had not yet claimed a dragon of his own, although his sister Rhaena did take him flying on her dragon. He rode in the back. I'm not going to say what that's usually called. His grandfather decided that it was time for his heir to wed, and that he would marry his older sister, Rhaena. At the feast of the wedding, King Aenys officially named the Prince of Dragonstone, upsetting Dowager Queen Visenya Targaryen, who left the feast in protest. This also upset many others. Yeah, the whole next slide's about who this upset. So a lot of this might seem like a review from just a few weeks ago, because I covered not too long ago the High Septon during the Faith Militant Uprising, which is running. There's the rain. I warned you guys about the rain. I told you there's a storm going on. I live in the Stormlands. Kind of do. I'm like half Stormlands, half the North. During the winter, the summer, I live in the Stormlands, and then this place turns into the North during the winter. Yay, Upper Midwest. Okay. Anyways, so when I covered the High Septon, that runs kind of concurrently to this story, so I'm going to be covering a lot of that. But I try to leave out. Cover different details and leave out so I don't have to repeat myself so much, but some things I have to. All right, so the Faith Uprising. The incestuous marriage of Aegon and Rhaena enraged the Faith of the Seven. After the wedding, Aegon and his bride were sent on a royal progress by their sire. Yeah, greatest decision of all time. Aenys is an idiot. All right. I just, like, recently for filming this, which would have been multiple weeks ago for you guys, I did a poll, like, who is the better king, Aenys or Maegor? Maegor wins that. And it's funny because Maegor is definitely the crueler and more awful, like, did worse stuff. And I don't think either of them were good kings. But Aenys was an idiot. Aenys made very bad decisions. Oh my god. I don't like Aenys, okay? I don't think most people do. I haven't yet to meet a pro Aenys guy, and I meet pro Maegor guys all the time. All right. Where was I? So yeah, he sent them on a progress. Rhaena, wiser than her father, asked leave to bring her dragon with them, and that request was denied. Bad decisions. Okay. As Aegon had not yet claimed one, and they feared that the lords and commons might think him unmanly if they saw his wife on dragonback and him on a palfrey. You kind of got a point, but maybe you should just suck that up and send a friggin' dragon. The moment they set off, their escorts were booed by the crowds just everywhere. They keep getting booed. At a village in the Riverlands, they were pelted by clods or clogs? I wrote clods. Maybe it's clogs of dirt by several poor fellows. Aegon drew his sword. He's like, yeah, you want to go? And his knights were like, no. So he was restrained by his own knights, who didn't let him like attack the people who were belting them with dirt, because they were greatly outnumbered. It would have been a really bad deal. It would have been one of those like Riots of King's Landing during Clash of Kings things. You guys ever read those Game of Thrones books? Talk about the second one. Yep. Okay. Yeah. This didn't stop Aegon's sister wife, Rhaena, who rode up and threatened them And she said they are fearless when she is on a horse, but next time she comes, it will be on dragon. And she goes, throw dirt at me then. I'm sure that didn't help the cause, because they're like, you guys are awful. And she's like, what if I burn you dragon back? And they're like, well, it kind of proves that you're awful. I mean, we definitely wouldn't throw dirt at you, but not really making yourself look great. Hey, stop saying that. What if I beat you up? Well, you would still be a jerk, but now you would just prove that you're even more of a jerk. All right, I'm not on anyone's side. I'm not on the Faith Militant side or the Crown. I'm my own thing. An anarchist. I do love Rhaena though. Dreamfire Rhaena is one of my favorite characters, I think, of all of Game of Thrones. Yeah, of all the World of Ice and Fire, I think Rhaena's up there for me. Top 10 probably, honestly. Okay, where was I? As Aegon did not. Oh wow, I'm way past that. Yeah, clogs of dirt. Next time she will come on a dragon. There you go. The High Septim later declared Aenys a tyrant who had no right to rule and launched the uprising of the faith of the Seven against the Targaryens. Yeah, that's the High Septim there. Yeah, he's like calls them all abominations. I'm leaving out the kind of there's correspondence. I think maybe that's in the next page actually, but there's like correspondence between Aenys and him, and it gets dirty. No, I actually don't think I left a lot of that in. Maybe not. All right, where was I? So by the end of 41 AC, the realm was in rebellion, with dozens of lords tearing down their Targaryen banners, and then warrior sons took the gates of King's Landing. Wow. And then thousands of poor fellows took to the roads around the Seven Kingdoms. In 42 AC, Rhaena and Rhaena, that's who we're talking about, Aegon, were forced to abandon their progress and then take shelter in Craighall Castle. They were soon trapped at Craighall by thousands of poor fellows. So at this exact same time, Aegon's father, King Aenys, was sick. Then the Grand Maester couldn't really help. So then Dowager Queen Visenya took over and he started to improve. But he quickly died on Dragonstone at age 35, 3 days after he was told about the news of Aegon being trapped. What did I say? So I did leave out the correspondence. All right, cool. I'm trying to remember what I left in my my High Septim video, but he's kind of, they're sending letters back and forth, him and the High Septim, and he's like, hey, sorry I married my kids together. It's just like Targaryens doing Targaryen stuff. We cool? And he's like, you're not cool. And he goes, oh, and we made the Septim Myrmidon, who you already made High King, we made him like he's no longer a Septim. And he's like, no, I love my beloved Myrmidon. And then Myrmidon gets killed by poor fellows. So it just gets bad. And apparently, yeah, it's not going too well. So then he starts to get sick. So he's 35, but Aenys looks like a man of 60, right? And during all this, Visenya's like, use a dragon. Go. Get on a dragon. Burn things. It's what we do. I know you don't think it's a good thing, but it is what we do. So Visenya is trying to tell him to be strong and get on dragonback. Now, do I think it's a good idea to burn your subjects? Absolutely not. 100%. I think what she is suggesting and what Maegor eventually does is bad. It's bad for business. Do I think that you just take this all lying down? Absolutely not. You have to show strength somehow. You got to show strength without showing war crimes. They are actually two different things. People are like, hey, Maegor just showing strength. He's burning innocent people. He's murdering people who disagree with him. But yeah, there's ways to be strong without doing war crimes. Maybe Targaryens just never heard that. Maybe they never got that memo. Be strong. Burn people? No. All right. So, yeah, and it's a little fishy that Visenya takes over his care and then he dies. Whatever. I'm just saying. It's a little weird. He was put to the flame in the Yard of Dragonstone. It's actually a really somber scene. Like, his dragon, Quicksilver, puts, like, puts Viserys to, or puts Aenys to flame, and then like Vhagar and other dragons kind of like add to it. I think it's really cool that they have their dragons burn them. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sick. It's kind of awesome. It's kind of metal. All right. So Visenya, though, skips the funeral, although that doesn't make sense because it says that Vhagar actually added in on the flames. So how did she skip the funeral? But anyways, she then goes and gets, I said brings her son Prince Maegor back from exile in Essos. She flies over there, and then when he gets to Dragonstone, Maegor declares himself king. So if you're not paying attention, Aegon the Uncrowned of this video is about is the heir. He should be the one who is getting crowned right now. But very quickly, before it's even like public knowledge that the Aenys is even dead, she goes and gets Maegor, and Maegor shows up, takes the king of his dad, the Conqueror, puts it on, and he's like, I am now king. I am the captain now. And then he goes over to the King's Landing, right? So, yeah, so yeah, he tries to, he kings himself. He declares himself king. He then kills the Grand Maester when, who protested. So yeah, Grand Maester is like, you can't do that. And he goes, oh, really? Blackfire. Gah! What can I do? Oh, what can I do? Oh, you can't answer now because I cut you in half. Yeah, Maegor is the coolest. Oh my God. All right. So, yeah. Maegor then flies to King's Landing and then takes the throne. So this immediately causes riots. So when Velaryon the Black Dread just shows up in King's Landing, they lock all the gates because the gates are locked by the warrior sons. So the warrior sons locking all the gates, and then Velaryon the Black Dread just landing causes riots immediately. It's sick. This ends in a trial of 7 between the warrior sons and Maegor. Again, I'm not getting too heavy into this. He wins, but barely. He goes into a coma for 27 days. So he is the last guy alive, but barely. It's like really dramatic. Everybody pretty much dies. And then Visenya like takes his helmet off, and she's like, the king lives. And one dude wasn't like, can we just do this really quick? Can we just take care of him? Just do a little righteous side. Can we just do a little righteous side really quick? He's psycho. Nope. The Trial of 7, I'm sorry to gloss over Maegor's Trial of 7. It's one of the coolest things in the entire book. I just don't think that it's super important for Aegon. But yeah, like Dick Bean makes everybody look really lame, and and then it's so cool. I love it. Dick Bean, great name. Okay, on day 28, so he's in coma for 27 days, and then on day 28, his wife, one of his second wife, and then Taina the Towers arrives, and then she wakes him up on day 29, and then he immediately goes and burns the Sept of Remembrance. I think that's the next thing I have. Maybe, yeah. He immediately goes and I got it at the end. All right, so Aegon, now back to Aegon, who's still stuck in Craighall Castle, can't do anything about all this. So all that's going on, and he's just stuck. There's thousands of people all around him, right? Like besieging Craighall Castle. So Aegon couldn't do much because he was still trapped. But then the poor fellows who are besieging Craighall depart and then march on King's Landing. Then Aegon and Rhaena now get to fled to Casterly Rock, where Lord Lyman, not Lyman Beesbury, Lyman Lannister, and his wife Jocasta protect them by extending guest right. Excuse me, a hiccup. By extending guest right. By this time, Maegor then has now woken up and burned the Sept of Remembrance. So I'm not sure if the poor fellows leave. It was kind of hard to decipher this when I was going through Fire and Blood. I'm not sure if the poor fellows leave right after Maegor shows up on during the Trial of 7, or if they wait until he burns the Sept of Remembrance. But either way, those two things happen around the same time, right? So now they've made it from Craighall Castle, that's in the Westerlands. Aegon and Rhaena flee to Casterly Rock, which is a little nicer of a place to stay. After Maegor's coronation, Aegon found himself abandoned by many who once considered to be his loyal friends. Yeah, people just start ditching them. Even their handmaidens and servants leave them. Yeah, like their entire progress ditches them. The whole time he thought himself as heir. So his entire life, his whole life, he thought of himself as heir, and now he found himself abandoned and hated by the faith. Throughout the realm, it was whispered that Aegon was weak like his father, pointing out that Aegon never taken a dragon of his own, whereas Maegor claimed Velaryon the Black Dread. These are political things. Dragons are political things. I know they're like big monsters and cool, but it's choosing the right dragon has political like consequences, right? If you fly on Velaryon the Black Dread, like later on, Aegon the Second, or Aegon the Second doesn't have Velaryon Black Dread, but later on, Viserys flies on Velaryon the Black Dread once, and it helps him, right? Like, these are very good things. It gets the small folk and the lords on your side if you can fly a dragon. And if one of them has the Conqueror's Dragon, in this case Maegor, it looks really bad for you, who is Aegon. I'm talking to you, Aegon. So keep in mind, now this propaganda is starting to fly that he's weak like his dad, and that he's like not even the real king. He's the pretender, right? But it's not. What are you talking? It can't be true. He's still alive. He is the heir, right? So, yeah, it's nuts how something as simple as looking weak because you don't have as big of a dragon as your uncle does so much like bad politically. So Queen Alyssa's presence, so she's forced to go to Maegor's wedding, right? Maegor has a wedding and she's forced to go. And that makes people think that even his mother, Aegon's own mother, Alyssa Velaryon, has turned her back on him. His only supporter was Lyman Lannister, and he stood firm when Maegor demanded that he send like them, as in Aegon and Rhaena, to King's Landing in chains. Laenor says no to that, but he still would not swear his sword to him. He's like, hey, Maegor wants us to send you him, and we're not going to do that. So then Aegon's like, so you can call your banners and we can march on him? He's like, I'm not going to do that either. I'm sorry, but no. So he's going with guest right. Like, I can't send you to your own death because you are under guest right, but I'm not gonna march on the throne. I'm sorry, but no. Oh, dang it. Yeah. So where was I? So it was in Castle Rock where, because they were there for so long, that Aegon's twin daughters, Arya and Riella, were born. The twin girls would be named Abominations and Fruits of Lust and Incest by the High Septon. Rhaena begs Aegon to let them flee to Essos because she doesn't want their daughters in danger of Maegor's wrath. Yeah, that's very, very, that's very fair, right? Her pleads fall on stone ears, however. Yeah, Aegon doesn't want to hear it. He's like, no, we got to go get the throne. And she's like, we got to go. And he's like, that's my throne. These are your daughters. And he just ignores it. So, yep, getting there. Quicksilver. You guys remember that? He has a dragon. Now, in 43 AC, so this is all, pretty much all this is like 41 to 43. Like, there's not a lot of years here. Well, Maegor was in Old Town dealing with the High Septon, and remaining there half a year. Rhaena and Aegon take note of his long absence from the capital. So what am I talking about? Go back and watch my High Septon video. It's weird how much these have a lot of the same ground, right? But the High Septon is like now sending letters to Maegor. Maegor's like, hey, I'm going to put you to death. And the High Septon's like, come here and I'll put you to death. And he's like, fine, I'll go there. And he's like, fine, come here. And then Maegor starts burning all these castles and stuff. And then he goes there. And for some reason, the extremely healthy High Septon just dies the night before. Weird, right? And yeah, so then they stay there. Visenya and Maegor stay at Old Castle, or Old Town, to kind of set up who the next High Septon is and kind of try to get a little bit of peace. It's not real peace, but a little bit of peace between the faith in them. Not for real. Like, it doesn't work out, but yeah, I wouldn't call it peaceful. So yeah, so he left the capital completely open. So after a long journey, so they have to travel all the way from the other side of Westeros, right? They are managed to successfully infiltrate King's Landing with a handful of companions aiding them. Aegon and Rhaenyra race across the Riverlands and enter under sacks of corn. They literally smuggle themselves in. That's crazy. Once in the city, they are given further aid by several collaborators from Aegon's own court, who had grown weary of Maegor's persecutions. Yeah, because Maegor's crazy. However, Aegon did not seize the Iron Throne. Yeah, when he's there, he's like, I could sit on the throne and take it, but he knows he doesn't have the strength, right? So he makes, I don't know if it's a smart decision, but he makes the decision to not just take the throne, right? He lacks the strength to hold it. So what they really came there for were dragons. Rhaena was united with Dreamfire. So they came for the dragons, and Rhaena was united with a Dreamfire. And Aegon finally claims a dragon, Quicksilver, right? His late father's mount, Quicksilver, who is a beautiful silver she-dragon. And yeah, I actually really like Quicksilver. Never gets to be, like a huge dragon like Vagar or Velaryon the Black Thread, but still a really cool dragon. And like it's a cool silver dragon, right? The pair left the city side by side on dragonback, right? And they fly to the Westerlands, and so they can raise an army. They actually, as the Lannisters still are reluctant to pledge to him, they go to Pink Maiden to rally the men against his uncle. So he becomes friends with the Piper of Pink Maiden, who goes there and allies, like, kneels to them. So they kind of use that. He's like a very staunch supporter of Aegon. So they go to Pink Maiden Castle, which isn't in the Westerlands, to rally everybody there, right? So yeah. The battle beneath the God's Eye. Here we go. Aegon's declared king by his mother, Alyssa, Velaryon, but was becoming known as Aegon the Uncrowned. So throughout the realm, the Uncrowned throughout the realm. In late 43 AC, Queen Taina of the Tower, she married Maegor, warned Maegor that Alyssa was secretly communicating with the Starks, Arryns, Baratheons, and Lannisters. And the Great Lords, however, would only publicly support Aegon after a victory. So the Great Wars have talked, but they're like, take out Maegor. Like, no one wants to deal with the wrath of Maegor, which makes a lot of sense. They're like, hey, if Aegon can pull this off, we're pledging to him, but we don't want to get burned. Yeah, you can't really blame him, right? This Aegon denounced his uncle as a tyrant. So at Maidenpool, when he gathers all of his people, he denounces his uncle as a tyrant and a usurper, and then he marches through the Riverlands, leading an army of 15,000 atop of his dragon Quicksilver. Royalist army, so I'm going to call him the rebel army because that's what histories call him. It's weird to consider the heir to the Seven Kingdoms, the actual rightful heir, a rebel, but that's what the histories call him because it's stupid. But so when I say loyalists, I refer to as Maegor's army, right? So, and royalists. So royalist armies of Haraway. So one of his wife's dad is a Harway and Harrenhal, and then he raises an army. And then the Tullys raise an army from Riverrun. And so I say in Darkland March, but it's not really House Darkland. It's actually Davos Darkland of the Kingsguard raises a Crownlands army, but they're all much smaller, and they march from 3 directions. So Aegon's slow-moving army was larger than any one of them, but the inexperienced and young prince, who's still just 17, did not want to attack and defeat each one separately, which he should have done. He wanted to just smash through the King's Landing host, led by Davos Darkland, before the other 2 can just flank him, right? So he mounts Quicksilver, and then he goes to do that. He flies south, and he's just going to meet the King's Landing host. And then this is what becomes known as the battle beneath the God's Eye, because Maegor then attacks riding Velaryon, right? So he shows up too. So for the first time since the doom of Valyria, two dragons fight, right? Quicksilver was only the quarter size of Velaryon, and its white fire was engulfed by the dread's black fire. And then when it fell upon it from above, he bit its neck and then tore its wings straight off its body, and the smaller dragon screamed and smoked as it fell to its death alongside Aegon. Yeah, that's the art I got. You can see up in the corner Velaryon's giant head just destroying the smaller dragon of Quicksilver as Aegon, that's the little dude falling off him, right? As Aegon falls to his death. Super brutal. So that's the end of the guy we're talking about. Let's keep going. Oh man. Only 17 years old. Where was I? So yeah, he falls along. Smaller dragon falls to death along with Aegon. Once the prince died, the rebels, the rest of his army, run. Many die in this brief battle. So a lot of his supporters, and many of Aegon's allies died. So yeah, this battle was not, it was very one-sided and brutal after he dies. The only notable loyalist, so that's for Maegor's side, to die was Kingsguard Davos Darkland, who was slain by Carl Corbray with Lady Forlorn. I love Carl Corbray. The one notable absence is Rhaena and Dreamfire. It is unknown why, or if her presence would have made a difference. I said mad a difference. God, you gotta love those typos. So Rhaena, we don't know why Rhaena's not there. Dreamfire was smaller even than Quicksilver at this time, so it wouldn't have been a big dragon. It would have been two small dragons versus a huge dragon. And do we want the possible queen, the queen that the queen of the West? I wasn't going to say queen that never was. That's Rhaenys. But did we want to see both of them fall? Probably not. There was probably a discussion. Would it have mattered? Maybe. It's hard to fight two targets at once, but Velaryon and the Black Dread. So I mean, maybe not. So Rhaena then lives on. I'm not going to ruin the rest of the story. That's just Aegon the Uncrowned story. So we're ending with Maegor winning. And that sucks. And then he runs for a while. I don't got too much for theories, really. Uncrowned. I did find a Reddit post by Immediate Aspect 5622 from a few months ago only, questioning why people think Aegon was a weakling like his father, coming to the conclusion that he is not, and it's Maegor propaganda because he never flew a dragon. And that is what I brought up, right? Like at the same time, the history book brings up that he wasn't strong, but then the history book explains that he was. You could see the propaganda, like, hey, he was like his grandsire. He was like Aegon the Conqueror, come again, and then he doesn't get a dragon, and it's like, and this weakling, he totally got killed by propaganda. And yeah, I think it's weird how good of a king he could have been, but he was branded as weak. What do you think? If Maegor didn't kill him, would he have made a good king? Yeah, that's kind of the big question, and I think yes. I think Aegon the Uncrowned would make a good king, and I am planning on making a What If Small Council for him. I have it mostly written, but a couple others won the polls first, so they're coming out before, right? So I think this week, if my schedule in my mind's correct, my Balon just came out, and then the next one after that's going to be my Renly one, and then Aegon the Uncrowned. So it'll still be a few weeks from now. But yeah, so I am going to answer, do I think he's going to make a good king? And spoilers for that video, yeah, I do think that Aegon would make a good king. So yeah, there you guys go. I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time. I really love Aegon the Uncrowned. I wish we had more information on him, because honestly, there wasn't too much here. But he was only 17 years old. All we really know is, like, he was born, his grandpa once read him a book, and then this. Like, it's like, there's not a lot of information. And I really do love Aegon the Uncrowned. So that's all I got, guys. And thank you for watching. What do you think of the character? And yeah, that's all I got. Please click like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. And thank you for all your support. That's it. Peace.